Hey everyone, my name is Mary. Welcome to the Yankee Cryptid Podcast. This is part 2 of a 4-part series of all of the reports from BFRO.net from the Northeast region from the month of January. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. Rensselaer County, New York, January 1990. Possible track find in snow near the town of Sand Lake. A friend and I had decided to do some cross-country skiing on the property owned by some neighbors. We started out behind my house and worked our way into the woods. There was an old logging road about a mile in that we hooked up to. It was a sunny day in January with a steady but light snowfall. Along the way, we took note of different tracks as the area is home to abundant wildlife. At this point, we had come across several deer tracks. We were studying the tracks and noting that most were not fresh, as they were already filled with snow. There is a point in the trail where it splits and you can go to the right or the left. We chose right and continued back in. This route is fairly short and takes about 10 to 15 minutes to reach the end where it abruptly stops in an open field. At this point, we chose to turn around and start back out. When we reached the spot where the trail had split, we were coming down a slope and nearing the fork when we noticed what looked like fresh tracks in the snow ahead. They looked fairly big in size, so we decided to stop and have a look, thinking we may have stumbled across some bear tracks, which are not uncommon to the area. When we reached them, both of us just stared. They were huge, and definitely not bear tracks. Both of us are avid outdoor people and hunters. Growing up in the area, we were both familiar with identifying tracks. To us, it looked like our own feet, bare feet, only much larger and wider. I'm not sure of the size, but with an educated guess, I would say about 1.5 to 2 feet in length. We started to think that someone had possibly come back in and done it as a joke, knowing we were in that area. The problem with that is, the area is accessible by vehicle, but only an ATV or snowmobile, as the trails, although sufficiently wide, are no longer suitable for regular vehicles. We found no tracks coming in or out from any vehicle, nor did we find any evidence that someone had walked in on foot or otherwise besides ourselves. However, no person could have made such tracks. The tracks came out of the woods on the right side of the trail, crossed it, and disappeared back into the woods on the left. We ventured into the brush on either side and noted that they were consistent in both directions. There were no human shoe or barefoot prints to be found anywhere. What really scared us was the realization that the tracks were fresh. We had passed the same spot only 10 minutes or so earlier and saw nothing, so we had to assume that whatever it was had passed behind us after we went through. That sent chills enough through both of us to get us moving back out double time. I should also note that the width of the trail is 6 or 7 feet, and they were only 2 footprints on the trail itself, telling us that whatever made them had a very long stride. To this day, neither one of us has spoken of this until now, when a friend referred me to the site. I still question what I saw, but I've never been able to come up with a reasonable explanation as to what it may have been. Adams County, Pennsylvania, January 1998. Nighttime sighting by motorists on Route 116 between Gettysburg and Fairfield. This sighting occurred a while ago, so I'm not sure of the year, but I would guess January or February of 1998. The reason I am reporting it now is because I was watching the History Channel, and the animal they displayed was very similar, with a few exceptions. The hair was even over the body. The History Channel display was baggy at the ankle and narrow at the knees. The eyes were definitely very red. The time of the incident was approximately 1 a.m. in the morning. The importance is the animal was no more than 150 feet from me, and I stopped the car, and the animal and I stared at each other for quite a long time, until I got tired and left the scene. My wife and I were returning home from a friend's home in Gettysburg along Route 116 between Gettysburg and Fairfield. In my headlights, I saw this animal step over a fence and walk across the field west to east. The animal stopped in the middle of the field and looked back at the car, and I stopped the car to observe. The reason this was not reported sooner is because we did not know how to report the event, and until reading your webpage, I did not realize how prevalent the sightings were. Follow-up investigation report. I talked to both of the witnesses. The man stated that the creature was at least 7 to 8 feet tall, as it easily stepped over a 4 to 5 foot fence, and then crossed the road in only 2 or 3 steps. He felt the color was dark brown or black, and the hair was not overly long. The female witness, however, remembered the hair color as reddish, and she felt that the hair length was longish. Neither could come up with exactly how long they sat and stared at the creature. The man also stated that it was very peculiar how the eyes were very visible red, even when the car headlights were not shining into them when the creature was standing in the field. Allegheny County, New York, January 1999. Young girls remember seeing a hair-covered creature running under a streetlight near Belmont. It happened when my friend and I were 13. When I found out about this website about 5 years later, I tried to post it on there, but something must have gone wrong with the connection or something. Anyway, it was late winter and storming badly outside. We were outside playing in front of our house, and out of the corner of my eye I saw a huge shadow and remember saying, "What the hell is that?" to my friend. Before she could respond, we both saw the Bigfoot running on 2 feet on the side of the road from approximately 50 feet away. We thought at first that it must be a very tall human, but when it went under the streetlight, we saw fur from head to toe, and it was approximately 7 to 9 feet tall. It was also running faster than I have ever seen anything else run. We both stood there in shock, unable to move or speak. I remember trying to scream, but nothing came out. After it ran out of sight, we both looked at each other and ran inside to tell our mother, who obviously didn't believe a word of what we were saying. We didn't go back outside afterwards because we were terrified. To this day, we both remember it like it was last night. But no one believes our story. Follow-up investigation report. I spoke with OK over the phone and found her to be sincere and forthright in her description of what her and her friend saw in 1999. When she was 13 years old, OK and a friend were playing near the street in front of her friend's house. She said the weather was cold, with some snow falling, and that it was getting dark. The sounds of heavy thudding footfalls caused them to look toward the road, where they saw a hair-covered creature running under a white streetlight 50 feet away. "This thing was huge," stated OK. "Its arms and legs were much longer than a human's, and it was completely covered in hair. It was dark, so it was hard to tell, but I think the hair was dark brown or maybe gray. When it ran, it didn't look in our direction, so I couldn't see the face. But I could tell that it was 8 feet tall or taller, and that it wasn't a man. We saw it run along the side of the road for about 10 seconds before we ran to the house. It ran so much faster than a human could run. We were freaked out and told my friend's mother, but she didn't believe us. She just told us to stay inside for the rest of the evening." OK says that she still keeps in touch with her friend, and to this day they both agree that what they saw was a Bigfoot. OK even commented that when she drives past the area where she saw the Bigfoot, she always thinks back to that encounter. I was able to get in touch with OK's friend by phone and asked her what she recalled about the incident. She immediately knew the incident I was referring to and was more than willing to speak with me. She stated that she remembers the night as being cold and snowy and that she saw a tall figure running under a streetlight. She describes the figure as being over 8 feet tall with very long arms and legs, and that it was either an overall beige or light gray color. She was adamant that it was too large and tall to be a human and that it ran faster than a human could run. Did not recall hearing heavy footsteps as it ran, and as with OK, she stated that she was very frightened. The area the sighting took place in is sparsely populated and very rural. Cambria County, Pennsylvania, January 2001. Footprints found in snow seen by several witnesses. My mother had called me outside in January because of large footprints. The snow started melting at the time. There were actual toe prints in the front, a big, a little smaller, etc. It was shaped exactly like a normal foot, but it was 15 to 18 inches in length. We had them the whole way around our property. I walked in the woods days before, and it went over my footprints and covered them. Its stride was about 3 feet apart from left foot to right.